cooking oil, the greasy, messy, brown liquid left after frying French fries or chicken wings, is one of the least glamorous waste products in the world. Yet, in facilities across America and beyond, it is being transformed in a way that is nothing short of astonishing. This is the story of the supergiant oil recycling process. A behind-the-scenes journey into how millions of gallons of waste oil are collected, purified, and reborn as something powerful. Before we dive into today's fascinating story, I've got a quick favor to ask. If you love discovering how everyday things get transformed in ways that blow your mind, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. As the trucks roll through the facility gates, they line up at the receiving station. Giant hoses are attached and the contents of the trucks are pumped out. The numbers are staggering. One truck can carry up to 7,000 gallons, and in a single day, a plant may receive dozens of them. Within hours, hundreds of thousands of gallons of used oil are safely stored in massive tanks, each the size of a small building. These tanks are the temporary resting place before the oil begins its transformation. Before anything else, the oil must be screened. At this stage, it is full of visible debris, bits of breading, fries that slipped through the fryer basket, and other solid waste. Large metal strainers catch the biggest pieces, while conveyor systems collect and carry them away. This material, called sludge, may look disgusting, but it doesn't go to waste. Some plants process it into animal feed additives or compost for agriculture. Nothing here is thrown away lightly. Every fraction is considered a resource. The oil that passes the first screening is still dirty. It looks like muddy soup, far from anything you'd ever imagine running in an engine. The next step is centrifugal separation. The oil is fed into enormous centrifuges, machines that spin at thousands of revolutions per minute. The physics here is simple but powerful. Heavier particles are flung outward, while lighter liquid stays in the center. Within seconds, tiny crumbs, charred bits, and grit are forced out of the oil. What comes out looks more uniform, less cloudy, and already much cleaner than before. By the end of this step, the oil has been stripped of most of its solid impurities, but the oil still holds a hidden problem. Water. Used cooking oil often contains 5 to 10% water, either from the food that was fried in it or from condensation. Water is dangerous in the recycling process. It reduces efficiency and can damage machinery if left inside. To solve this, the oil is gently heated in massive dehydration tanks. As the temperature rises, water separates and either settles at the bottom or evaporates into steam. What's left is a golden liquid that looks surprisingly pure compared to the black sludge that first arrived at the plant. At this point, you can almost imagine it being usable. But to turn it into fuel, one more giant leap is needed. Now we reach the heart of the process, the transformation of oil into biodiesel. This step is called transesterification, a technical word that hides a simple idea: rearranging molecules so they can burn cleanly as fuel. The dehydrated oil is mixed with alcohol, often methanol, and a chemical catalyst such as sodium hydroxide. The mixture is pumped into giant reactors, some as large as swimming pools, where it is stirred and heated under controlled conditions. During this reaction, the triglycerides in the oil are broken down into methyl esters, the chemical name for biodiesel, and glycerin. After several hours, the reactor produces two distinct products. On top, the lighter biodiesel. At the bottom, the heavier glycerin. The two layers are separated, and each goes on its own journey. The glycerin can be refined into ingredients for soap, cosmetics, or pharmaceuticals. The biodiesel, however, is the star of the show. Even after the reaction, biodiesel isn't ready to be pumped into engines just yet. It must be washed and polished. First, it passes through water washes or dry washing columns that remove any remaining catalyst, methanol, or traces of soap formed during the reaction. Then it is filtered one more time through fine industrial filters. What emerges at the end is a golden, clear liquid, clean biodiesel that looks almost like honey. Laboratory testing is conducted on samples to ensure it meets strict fuel standards. Only when it passes every quality test does it move forward to the final stage. Now the biodiesel is ready for use. It flows into gigantic storage tanks, each capable of holding millions of gallons. From here, pipelines or tanker trucks distribute it to fuel stations, transportation companies, or even directly to city bus fleets. This is the point where the circle closes. Waste oil that once dirtied kitchens and clogged drains is now a clean, renewable fuel, powering trucks, buses, and sometimes even airplanes. What began as a problem has become a solution. To truly understand how big this process is, let's look at some numbers. In the United States alone, billions of gallons of used cooking oil are generated every year. A single supergiant recycling plant can process tens of millions of gallons annually. 1 gallon of biodiesel replaces 1 gallon of petroleum diesel. That means millions of gallons of fossil fuel are displaced. No more pollution from dumping oil into rivers or landfills. Instead, a closed loop: food to oil, oil to energy, energy to life. And that's the incredible journey of used cooking oil, rescued from restaurants, purified in giant facilities, and reborn into clean fuel and countless new products. Pretty amazing, right? If you enjoyed this deep dive, and you want to see more stories about how the things we throw away get a second life, go ahead and hit subscribe right now. Don't forget to tap the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when our next video drops. Thanks so much for watching. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Each morning across America's heartland, thousands of acres wake to the rising sun. But here, in the rich, fertile soils of the Midwest, particularly Indiana, something remarkable grows. A sea of golden blooms rises with the light, faces turn skyward. This is no ordinary crop. These are high oleic sunflowers, cultivated not just for beauty, but for purpose. Their seeds hold a secret, one that when gently pressed becomes the golden oil that fuels one of the cleanest, healthiest kitchen staples in America. This is the world of Healthy Hoosier Sunflower Oil, a brand dedicated to purity, sustainability, and deep local roots. But before it ends up in a glass bottle in someone's pantry, that oil begins with a seed, a field, and a quiet revolution in sustainable agriculture. So how does a flower become one of the most beloved oils in the market? What does it take to grow, harvest, and bottle nature's golden gift? Today, we take you behind the scenes, through the sun-drenched fields and into the machinery, science, and passion that power the entire process. From seed genetics to soil preparation, from combine harvesters to cold presses, this is the journey of the sunflower. This is how the sunflowers grown for Healthy Hoosier oil are harvested. In the spring, when the snow has melted and the earth has warmed, Healthy Hoosier growers begin by testing the soil composition. pH, nitrogen levels, organic content, all must be balanced to create the perfect bed for sunflower roots. Once prepared, the land is tilled lightly to preserve moisture. Unlike some commercial operations, Healthy Hoosier emphasizes conservation tillage, keeping the soil structure intact and preventing erosion. Next comes the planting, done with remarkable precision. Modern planters use real-time satellite guidance systems, ensuring each seed is placed at a consistent depth and spacing, typically about 6 inches apart in rows spaced 30 inches. Why? Because sunflowers need air, sunlight, and room to stretch. Water is often applied through drip irrigation to reduce waste, and cover crops are sometimes used to keep the soil rich. In just 7 to 10 days, the first green shoots will pierce the soil, and the countdown to harvest begins. As the weeks pass, the fields transform. What was once bare earth becomes a dense green canopy. Soon, buds form, tiny at first, then open into wide, golden faces that track the arc of the sun each day. But behind this natural beauty is careful management. Healthy Hoosier growers follow strict, integrated crop management practices. Every field is monitored regularly for weeds, pests, and moisture levels. Instead of broad-spectrum chemical sprays, they use targeted biological controls, like beneficial insects that eat aphids, or crop rotation strategies that naturally suppress soil-borne diseases. Moisture is monitored using soil probes and remote sensors. In drier seasons, drip irrigation ensures roots get exactly what they need. No more, no less. Fertilization too is precise. Nitrogen and potassium are added at key growth stages, always based on lab-tested soil samples. And while sunflowers are hardy, even resilient plants need protection from wind and sudden storms. That's why field layout and spacing are not just for light, but for airflow and durability. Every decision, from the pH of the soil to the angle of the row, is made with one goal: to help each seed head grow strong, heavy, and oil-rich. By midsummer, the fields are in full bloom, buzzing with bees, alive with color, and preparing quietly for their final act. After nearly 100 days in the ground, the sunflower's transformation is nearly complete. The once proud heads begin to bow under their own weight. The yellow petals dry and drop. The backside of the flower, the bracts, turn from green to brown. These are nature's signs. The crop is ready for harvest. But Healthy Hoosier doesn't rely on visual cues alone. Each field is sampled and tested. The key metric: seed moisture content. For oil production, the ideal range is 8 to 10%. Too wet, and the oil is cloudy and unstable. Too dry, and the seeds can shatter during harvest. Timing the harvest is a delicate dance. The weather must be dry, the soil firm, and the equipment ready. Sometimes, to encourage uniform ripening, growers perform desiccation, a natural drying technique that involves stopping irrigation and trimming weeds that compete for sun and airflow. Modern technology supports every step. Drones scan fields to identify uneven ripening. AI-assisted field maps help decide which section to cut first. And yield forecasts guide logistics: how many trucks, how much storage, and when to press. This attention to timing and detail is what makes Healthy Hoosier stand out. Because perfect oil starts with a perfect harvest. It's early fall. The air is dry, the sun is low, the harvest begins. Combines specially outfitted with sunflower headers roll into the fields. These machines are marvels of agricultural engineering, designed to cut, thresh, and separate seeds with minimal waste. Unlike wheat or corn, sunflower heads are bulky and full of delicate seeds. If handled too aggressively, seeds can crack or be blown away. That's why the headers gently lift the flower heads, then slice just below the base, clean and fast. Inside the machine, a rotating drum strips the seeds from the head. They fall onto a vibrating screen, where stems and shells are separated by fans. The clean seeds are collected in an onboard tank. Once full, they're unloaded into grain carts, which shuttle them to waiting trucks parked along the field's edge. Each combine can harvest up to 150 acres a day. But for Healthy Hoosier, it's not about speed. It's about care. Moisture sensors inside the combines constantly monitor seed quality. On-the-go adjustments can change drum speed, fan intensity, or blade angle, ensuring the best possible result from each pass. By sunset, the once golden fields have been cleared, but the journey of these seeds is just beginning. From the field to the facility, timing is everything. Once harvested, the sunflower seeds must be transported quickly and carefully to prevent damage and preserve freshness. trucks are lined with moisture-proof tarps, and every load is weighed and tagged before entering the Healthy Hoosier intake system. At the processing plant, the seeds undergo a multi-step cleaning process. First, they pass through vibrating screens to remove large debris, stalks, stones, and any leftover shells. Then, high-powered air jets blow out dust and light chaff. But that's just the beginning. Next comes magnetic separation to catch any tiny metal fragments that may have entered during harvest. Finally, an optical sorter scans thousands of seeds per second, removing any that are discolored, damaged, or underdeveloped. Only the cleanest, most uniform seeds are selected for pressing. These seeds are then gently dried one last time, bringing their moisture content down to an optimal 6 to 7%. This step ensures maximum oil yield and long-term stability. Inside each machine, seeds are funneled into a rotating screw press. As the screw turns, it slowly crushes the seeds, releasing a rich, golden oil that flows through fine mesh filters. The remaining solid, known as sunflower cake, is not discarded. It's a valuable byproduct used for animal feed or further processed into meal. The freshly pressed oil is unrefined, full-bodied, and packed with nutrients. But before it's ready for your kitchen, it must be filtered and bottled. Once cold-pressed, the oil undergoes gravity-based settling. For up to 48 hours, it sits undisturbed in sealed tanks, allowing tiny seed particles to naturally settle to the bottom. Then, it's time for the final filtration. Healthy Hoosier uses a multi-stage microfiltration system, capturing the finest sediments while preserving the oil's vibrant aroma and color. There's no bleaching, no deodorizing, no additives. Just sunflower oil in its most honest form. After filtration, the oil is transferred into a climate-controlled bottling room. Here, every step is automated and monitored, from filling to capping to labeling. Healthy Hoosier uses dark glass bottles to protect the oil from UV light, which can degrade flavor and nutrition over time. Each bottle is flushed with inert gas before sealing, extending its shelf life naturally, without preservatives. Every batch is tested for free fatty acid levels, peroxide value, flavor profile, moisture content. If it doesn't meet the company's gold standard quality, it's rejected. Once approved, bottles are boxed and shipped to retail stores, co-ops, and kitchens across the country. From soil to seed, press to package, every bottle of Healthy Hoosier sunflower oil carries the story of careful stewardship, local pride, and sustainable practice. It's not just oil, it's a legacy in a bottle. If this story moved you, if you believe in food made with care and farming done right, then stay with us. We've got more stories from the fields, the factories, and the people behind real food. Subscribe to our channel for more behind-the-scenes journeys, from farm to table, seed to shelf. Like the video if you learned something new. A bottle of olive oil. Familiar, simple, everyday. But behind that smooth, golden pour is a journey most of us never think about. Today we're going behind the scenes to show you how it's really made, from the tree to your table. But before we dive in, don't forget to hit subscribe to Top Discovery 4K for more amazing stories like this one. Now, let's explore how olive oil comes to life. It all begins in the groves, wide open landscapes filled with rows of olive trees, their silvery green leaves shimmering in the sun. Some of these trees are new, planted just a few years ago. Others, they've been around since before the founding of the United States. Their trunks are twisted, their bark weathered, but they still produce fruit, season after season, just as they have for centuries. The climate is hot, dry, and challenging, but that's exactly what olive trees like. No irrigation, no pampering,